Hey, welcome to the Overshare Pamphlet. My name is Rob, and I'm the host of this one-man show. I am dropping another episode this week. As I said in my previous episode, I was planning to do this anyways because the last episode of the second season of House of the Dragon came out on Monday here in the UK, and I had to simply do a full episode on the whole season because I've been loyally watching the show, of course, and I have a lot of thoughts, and I just wanted to share them with you guys. I was initially thinking of dropping the episode yesterday, but after watching the episode, but I think I needed more time to recollect, what has happened during the entire season, and also to just ponder a bit on what overall the season meant for the show, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much I made some there's pretty much what happened in the past 2 days. Basically, I made a couple of notes, just very short ones, and I will expand on them as I talk, of course. But I think what I wanted to do here is to just go character by character, I guess. Well, mostly the main ones. So I'm gonna be talking specifically about Rhaenyra, Daemon, Alicent, Aegon, Aemond, Rhaenys. Maybe I'll definitely touch up on Rhaenys, Jacaerys. That's pretty much it, I guess. I think I'll touch up on my favorite, the main characters here. And oh shit. But yeah, so we will be discussing all of that. First of all, spoiler alert. I mean, if you haven't watched the second season, then what's the point in listening to this episode at all? But if you have watched, or if you are watching it, be sure to first maybe finish the season and then come back to this, because it's basically all full of spoilers. Duh. I won't be also giving you guys any more songs of the week because I've already given you guys plenty, and it's just been 2 days since I recorded the last episode, so there are no songs of the week this episode. So, but don't worry, next episode is coming out next Monday. You'll get new songs there as well. Anyways, what are we talking about here? We're talking about House of the Dragon. We're talking about the second season, but let me first give you guys a summary for those who don't know about the show, I guess. So House of the Dragon is a spin-off series, a TV show of Game of Thrones, and we're here looking at the events of this Targaryen civil war during, first Viserys's reign and all that stuff. It's taken all of this material is basically found in the books. Well, it's just one book, Fire and Blood, by George R. Martin, and yeah, that's pretty much what's happening. They adapted it to a TV show, of course, but I think the book, it has a lot of information, but it's not as extensive, of course, as the main series that then inspired the Game of Thrones show, right? So House of the Dragon, as I said, is a civil war for between the two sides of the Targaryens, basically. We have after Viserys' death, he chooses Rhaenyra, his only daughter, his first born, basically, was a daughter, of course. She's a woman, and as his rightful heir. But of course, we're talking about medieval times here, technically, kind of. So the inner bias of all the people in the realm is, of course, for a male king, to be ruling the Seven Kingdoms. So, in the meantime, after Rhaenyra's mother dies, and Viserys' first wife dies, he remarries to Alicent Hightower, and he has plenty of kids with her. And the first kid that comes out of this relationship is a male, and his name is Aegon. So after Viserys' death, despite Rhaenyra being named his rightful heir, Alicent spreads the word around that actually he changed his mind last minute before dying, and he wants Aegon to be the king, right? So this whole thing starts, and basically it's a full-on civil war for who should take the throne. Like, Rhaenyra is already away from King's Landing when this happens, so she has to, she wants to conquer back her rightful spot on the throne, right? While Aegon is, in the meantime, governing the Seven Kingdoms. So, yeah. So you have two different factions, the Greens and the Blacks. The Greens are with the Hightowers and and Aegon, basically. Greens because of the Hightower banners and everything that are green. And then you have Team Black, which is Rhaenyra, Daemon, all these people here, right? Daemon is Viserys' brother and Rhaenyra's uncle, but they also have children. Incest is a thing here, don't worry. If you don't know anything about Game of Thrones, it is a thing. So, anyways, where do we leave off for the first season? We leave off the first season with Rhaenyra's second son being killed by Alicent's and Viserys' basically, he's dead, so whatever, by Aegon's brother and Alicent's second son, basically, right? So he kills Aemond. What the fuck? Aegon's brother, Aemond. Sorry, the Targaryens have all very similar names, but Aegon's brother, Aemond, kills Rhaenyra's second son with his dragon, and basically, I would say, the war was brewing even before that, but I think this is the spark that basically finalizes the conflict. Like, there's no going back after this, basically. Like, blood has been shed, and it's no turning back now. Like, Rhaenyra is distraught, of course, as one would, and she wants revenge, right? And she wants her throne back. So we open up the season with Rhaenyra being, distraught and, mourning her son's death, and she is so much in pain that she wants payback. And Aemond is, of course, riding the biggest and the most powerful dragon in the realm. He managed to tame Vhagar, which is a dragon, so no one can technically attack him on Dragonback, because he has the biggest dragon. It would be like a senseless, basically like a useless battle, basically. But anyways, so here's what's happening. So basically, Daemon, which is Rhaenyra's uncle and / lover, husband, whatever, he takes it too far, basically, this wish for revenge, and he has Aegon, the king at the moment, Aegon's son, killed, right? So it basically seals the payback in a way, like a son for a son. That's the first episode, and after that, basically, it's clear that both sides are ready for waging war, basically, right? So this is where we start off. Now, this whole second season is basically all about, it's a huge setup, I think, for the third season is going to come out in, God knows when, in 2 years now. Because basically, throughout the entire season, we're seeing both sides trying to garner support and, conquer posts on the map and basically building up armies on both sides to wage war eventually in the third season, I assume. So you're following throughout this entire season, like it's basically all like a setup plot wise to then and build up the hype basically for the war that's about to come. So yeah. So I want to go through, as I like, each character roughly, like the main ones, and discuss like their journey throughout the season and like if I'm happy with them or not, and like if the change that has happened throughout the season is a good one or like it's faithful and like it makes sense and it's written well in terms of plot, or if it's just trash. So we'll get into that. Anyways, Rhaenyra. So I want to start with her because she's the main character of the show. Technically, she is basically the rightful heir, as I said, and she's supposed to be like this fearsome queen who is, actually the rightful ruler. If it wasn't for her desire to, well, to surpass basically. So here's the thing. Basically, I think the main problem with Rhaenyra is that she is one. Well, first of all, nothing she can control about, like, it's her gender, and she cannot control the fact that in those times, everyone would rather have a man on the throne. What the fuck? They're coming to jail me. But anyways, I was saying, like, everyone would rather have a man on the throne than her, and it's been a theme also in the first season, and she has to come to terms with that. But I think what really transpires through is that she's actually the most suitable candidate for the throne, because she's not very hasty in terms of making decisions. She actually does not want to spill blood unless it's like ultimately necessary in that way. And throughout the season, she also tries to find a way with Alicent, meeting her secretly one time, to solve the war peacefully through marriage or whatever. Like, she tries to like find a proper solution to the conflict, to the civil war, before the war even starts. But of course, she's met with resistance, and her diplomatic ways are not met with the same thing. So yeah, with the same like hype in that sense. So yeah, I think, well, apart from the first couple of episodes where she's still mourning her son, I think she's been quite like stagnant for this season until the last few episodes, where she thankfully picks up again her might, and she's ready to wage it, like to own her position, and like to just do what's right, and to strike back, basically, right? Well, in a way, I think it is like fine to see like her struggle in her own council as well, to have all these men who do not actually even though they still support her claim, they don't really support it. They more so support her marriage with Daemon, and like the fact that they could rule together, but they don't really support her as a woman on the council and ruling the kingdoms, whatever. They still think that a man would be the better choice. So she has to navigate that no one wants to take her seriously, and no one wants to actually do anything, wants to listen to specifically her choices. They keep on thinking that war is just like a matter for the man and not for the woman, whatever. But I think eventually she realizes that through also Miss Arya, who is another character, who becomes a very close, confidant to Rhaenyra. I think she realizes that a war can be exactly as Miss Arya teaches her, can be fought not only through swords or dragons or whatever, but also through the popular support and through the people themselves, and just perception, and making the other side look bad in that sense. So garnering basically popular support, and that's very smart. I would say, like, in a way, I think they should have maybe shrunk down the stagnant moments in the season for her, and try to like go back to her showing her signs of strength more often. But ultimately, I'm happy with the way the season ended for her, because she does seem to like have reconquered her like confidence, and to actually own like the title has been bestowed upon her basically. So yeah, so she basically just needed to find the right people to like, you know, to confide in a way, and to basically trust her God even more. So that's what happens basically. I want to talk quickly also about Miss Arya and her quote unquote, their romance. I don't even know if it's like a full on romance, because we brushed over that very quickly after it happened. But basically, Miss Arya is a woman as well, and potentially they've shown this is a departure from the books, I guess. But basically, Miss Arya is a lowborn who used to be working at the brothel as well, and then became a master of whispers for Daemon back in the days, and then she was cast aside after Aegon was appointed as king. Whatever, he took the throne basically by force, and Rhaenyra shows her mercy when she finds her, and then Miss Arya basically becomes eternally grateful to her, and like vows to serve Rhaenyra and support her claim to the throne, because she knows that the people actually would support Rhaenyra. She sees the good in her and how good she is at also listening to the innocent people, and not, you know, abuse her power. But basically, this close relationship that forms between the two of them ends up blooming into a very short-lived romance. They have a kissing scene, and then we are not really sure where he's gonna go next, because we haven't seen much of them in the last episode, to be fair, together. So we don't know what's gonna happen next, if they're gonna keep on going with that or not. But I mean, of course, the internet was very much conflicted on this. I think plot-wise and like character-wise, I think actually it fits Rhaenyra very well, because I think even though it doesn't necessarily have to like translate into like a full-on romance. First of all, Game of Thrones has always been very LGBT acceptant in that sense, and reflects very realistically what happened also in the medieval times and all that stuff. Like, doesn't work on a erasure of LGBT characters in a way. So I'm very happy with that. Also, I think Rhaenyra is very much, throughout this season also, specifically, struggling with the idea of, like, masculinity and femininity in a way, and, you know, trying to embody the virtues of what people in her council think a king should be, and at the same time working within her own constraints of being a woman, right? So I think with Miss Arya and their romance, I think she sees in Miss Arya a way of testing her own dominance and her own masculinity, if that makes any sense. And I personally, like, if I see it through those lenses, I think it's actually very smart. The only problem I have is that they haven't really earned the moment in a way. Like, it seems like such a random thing that happened out of nowhere. Even though I have to be honest, though, Rhaenyra was in the first season. I always thought there was something between her and Alicent, and I think also the actresses have sort of kind of confirmed it, that there was some sort of attraction between the two of them, but they were very young and all that, so there was nothing like explicit about that. So I don't know. I just wish they had shown a little bit more of those signs in a way. So yeah, that's where we're at. Anyways, so I think I'm happy with the moment itself, and I understand the meaning of it, and I do like this interpretation as well. So I would say like with Rhaenyra, I'm kind of content with where we ended in a way. I wish we had a bit more of a dynamic season for her, but I'm glad that at least we ended on a good note with her, and she's back on her own A game, and I think we fleshed her out even more. She understands her own power and to trust her God even more, and to like she's a very she knows when to like roll the dice and like when to like instead wait to like to strike or whatever. So very smart choices, I would say. I'm glad we fleshed her out even more with the last few episodes, specifically in the bastards and everything else. But we'll get to that when I talk about Jaehaerys specifically as well. Then Daemon. I think Daemon honestly had the most annoying arc in this entire season for between all the characters. I know part of it is part of the books, but not really, to be fair. Like in the books, he's supposed to like conquer Harnell and then strategically leave Harnell when Aemon is about to like get there and then conquer King's Landing while the entire army of the Greens is out to get him, right? Like it's a strategic move to like occupy Harnell until these people are trying to come for him to Harnell, and then he leaves Harnell and leaves them there, and he goes and conquer King's Landing in their absence. Here, instead in the show, he is in his like side quest zone. Basically, is for majority of the season he's absent from like either Dragonstone or King's Landing or whatever. Like he's not with the main characters. He's in his own little lane, trying to conquer Harnell. And I do like the fact that this is like, in a way, a stage for him to understand what he wants as a character. Like if he still actually wants the throne and he still wants to have the crown for himself rather than actually helping Rhaenyra to get him, or if he's content to support Rhaenyra and be on her side, and that's it. So the dynamic between Rhaenyra and him is always very like conflicting and very at times violent as well, and very conflictual in a way. So I think when he goes to Harrenhal, he wants to prove one to himself, but also to Rhaenyra that he actually is even more worthy for the crown, and it's a little experiment for him to like reign over Harrenhal for this season, basically, because he gets to basically literally try to be king for a season, basically. Let's just call it like that, because he has to like basically run Harrenhal and gain support from the people, and I think he soon realizes that he's not actually very fit for the role of a king, because he lacks the patience and the understanding for the people. He's a very impulsive person, and he's very well trained for the battlefield and to talk specifically to soldiers and everything else, but not really to listen to the common folks and to garner support in a peaceful manner and all that. Then there's also the fact of the visions that he has throughout the entire season at Harrenhal. Alice, wait, what's her name? Alice? I can't remember. No, I can't remember, but whatever. There's a character, a witch in the castle, who also basically influences his visions and everything else. And he's basically in this like very slumpy space in the entire time where he keeps on having these visions, and every single episode there's a new one, and he's in this very confusional state and he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. Basically, he's on drugs for the entire fucking season, and throughout these visions he technically realizes basically that he doesn't actually want the crown. He realizes he's not fit for the crown, and in the last episode he ends up having his last vision, which is the one that reveals him the future of the entire Targaryen bloodline, straight up to Game of Thrones and the Song of Ice and Fire, basically. That the Targaryens have a higher purpose. It's not the throne what matters, but it's mostly to keep on having the rightful Targaryen on the throne in order to prepare the Seven Kingdoms to eventually fight the White Walkers and what the fuck, and to basically end the winter, basically, right? What we see basically in Game of Thrones in the last season as well, like Daenerys and all that stuff. Like he sees the entire thing. He sees Daenerys like hatching the eggs and like reconquering Westeros, and then whatever the fuck happened in the last season that we all hated. Like if this is a celebration of the Targaryens, why did we have to like kill Daenerys? But whatever, that's besides the point. What the fuck is going on today? Okay. Holy shit. They're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me. Oh my god, it's so annoying. I am so sorry. Actually, I'm not. I don't care. It's actually very funny, but... Anyways. So yeah, he realizes basically that his higher purpose is to, like, you know, keep the line on... Like, keep the Targaryen line safe and put Rhaenyra on the throne, because he sees her as the... Like, her line, Rhaenyra's line, bloodline, is the one that's going to lead to Daenerys eventually, right? And to save the Seven Kingdoms. So he eventually realizes that he's... I actually like this part. To be frank, I think some people hated it, but him realizing that he's actually, like, part of an entire series, basically. Like, The Song of Ice and Fire is actually his own... Like, he's part of a book series, technically. It's kind of genius, in my opinion, because it transforms, I guess, the entire purpose of the Targaryens into a higher... Like, all the Targaryens are basically connected. The entire purpose to, like, actually come and conquer Westeros in the first place, back with Aegon the Conqueror, whatever, like, ages ago, and to, like, stay on the throne, and eventually, like, you know, everything that has happened for a reason, basically, right? And the entire purpose of this, like, of the dragons themselves, and having this, like, incredible power that no other house has, like, to wield the dragons and all that stuff, is not because they were chosen by the gods to be more powerful and be better than anyone else and to just rule the people, but it's to actually just unite the realm for something even more important, which is to save humanity, right? And to, you know, fight off the White Walkers and all that stuff, right? So I kind of like that interpretation, like the entire, like, you know, the spin they put on this the story and the entire, like, Targaryen line. Aegon, like, Viserys' dream and everything else, like the Song of Ice and Fire, the dream that keeps on, like, appearing in any Targaryen's mind whenever they, you know, get to a throne, whatever, is actually the entire purpose of the Targaryen line is to just, like, stay there and basically protect the people from the north, from, like, the, you know, the White Walkers, the winter. Anyway, so but despite that, I think his entire, like, arc in this like season is just a bit disappointing. I think they just were dragging it on. I think they should have just, like, cut it short, or maybe give him more to do. I don't know, but the visions and everything else was so repetitive and so boring at a certain point. I was like, oh, come on, can we just get over this and, like, get to the good part and, like, you know, have him return to the mirror, whatever. But yeah, he's okay. There's a different siren. I don't even know what's going on here, but anyways, yeah. So kind of disappointed. I liked the dream and everything else, the final one, but I think we should have gotten there a bit faster, you know? Anyways, it is what it is. Let's talk about Alicent. Alicent, as I said, is left to... Oh my fucking god. Can I record in peace? Alicent, as I said, was left in complete charge, I guess, of the kingdoms in a way. She is still very much behind the scenes, controlling her son, Aegon. He's very much like a puppet king in a way. He's not really good at all. He's not even mature enough to, like, actually rule the kingdoms. He's actually very spoiled and everything else. He's very unfit to rule, but he's just there to do nothing. That's basically what also she tells him. Like, she literally tells him that he's useless and he should do nothing and let the people in the council run the country, and he should just be there for, like, you know, for face value and all that. So she starts off with that, and then she ends up through different events basically losing all the power she's accumulated and all the like sacrifices she's made for the past years of her life to put Aegon on the throne and everything else. She realizes that they're all being done for nothing, because eventually Aegon gets injured and he's basically useless, and his brother Aemond becomes king regent, and he basically kicks her out of the council and completely disregards her advices, and she's shunned out of the inner circle, right? So I think her her arc here is actually quite good, because she does realize that her entire life she's been following this path that was chosen for her, and she has questioned it multiple times, but she's not wavered. She has kept on like following her father's wishes to like, put her own line on the throne, and she achieved that, and it was all for nothing, because she actually never wanted it. She never wanted to like follow this entire path that was laid before her. She just trusted the path, because that she thought that was her purpose and what was expected of her, but she never actually chose. She never actually had free will ever, and she realizes at the end that if she wants to live a happy life, she should just let go of this insane Game of Thrones and see what I did there, and just pursue her own freedom and her own desires. So at the end of the season, after she gets casted out and all this stuff, she wants to make a go. Like she wants to escape basically the entire thing with her daughter, and she even wants to end the war. So initially, when she meets secretly with Rhaenyra in the first instance, when Rhaenyra goes to King's Landing secretly to meet up with her and to have a peaceful ending to the war, before it even starts, basically a ceasefire, she refuses it because she's still very much hung up on that whole thing of like a son for a son, whatever. But then at the end of the season, she goes back to Rhaenyra, and she instead, basically begs for help and begs for the war to end, and she gives up even her own son's life to have Rhaenyra put on the throne peacefully without shedding any blood. That's how little she cares about the game anymore, right? So yeah, I actually like her evolution as a character, and I think it really makes sense with her own behavior as a character the past season as well, that she was so very like jealous also of Rhaenyra for doing whatever she wanted and never bending her own will to the greater structures of the monarchy and the paths laid before her, like marrying who her father wanted to. She refused that. Rhaenyra refused that. She married whoever she wanted and got whatever she wanted. So she was always jealous of that, and she always wanted to escape that and be with and be someone like Rhaenyra, but she could never quite do it, and that's what actually brought the war up in the first place. It was the jealousy of Alicent, in my opinion, and of course her entire family as well. But anyways, but it's like a nice flip to the script, and I liked it. I think it makes pretty much sense with what we are having here. So kudos to Alicent. Curious to see what happens actually in the next season, because I'm sure she's gonna go ahead with the plan of that she agreed with Rhaenyra to have her just come in and take the throne without any bloodshed. But we'll see if she'll be able to do that, because Aegon is gone. So let's talk about Aegon actually. Aegon, he starts off also mourning his kid, because he gets his own kid killed by Daemon's accomplices in a way, and he's very emotional. He's very actually unfit to rule as well, even in his cases. He's not really good, and he struggles with this idea of being put there as a puppet. Basically, he wants to have the same skills as his dad, Viserys, as a king, but he's clearly not ready for it. He's clearly not able to do it, and he hates the fact that he's actually just a puppet and not able to actually do whatever he wants as the king. He's the king, but he's not really a king, So he's very much emotional for that reason for the entire season. Well, not for the entire season. For like his arc is actually really good as well, I would say, because it's paced very well. So he struggles with that at first. He's very mad at Rhaenyra for killing his own son. Rhaenyra, even though she didn't do anything, but whatever, she wants to enact revenge again, just like to get into this like this vicious cycle of revenge. And he's very impulsive. He wants to like just go for war straight up, and eventually he, after he has his chat with his mother Alicent about being good for nothing and just being there as a puppet, he decides to go to war himself despite being persuaded not to do that, and he fucks up real bad. So basically he has no experience on like in war at all, or even as a matter of fact to ride his own dragon into battle. But he decides still to like take his dragon, Sunfire, and go to war against the Blacks at Rook's Rest. Now, Rook's Rest is a very complicated situation there because there was already a plan to defeat the Blacks in that battle from Aemond, his brother, and Sir Criston Cole, the head of the Kingsguard. But he doesn't know anything about that because he's not actually, since he's not really like efficient as a king, he's not really like informed of the secret plans that are being like woven to win the war. So he goes foolishly into battle with no experience whatsoever, and he actually almost ends up messing up his brother's plan, and he gets so badly injured after that he's no longer capable of actually being king. Like physically he's burned, almost like he's broken, and is just beyond repair, and it's just crazy. So he allows basically his brother to just become king regent and just go full on batshit crazy. But anyways, so while he's basically in his own bad, being unable to move or whatever, I think he realizes basically that he is, well, all he wants is to just be loved, basically. His whole life, he has not received that from his family at all. Alicent was a terrible mother as well. She never really showed him kindness or anything, and he just wanted acceptance. And that's why he was so drawn to the crown in the first place, because he wanted respect and love from the people, because he never could receive it before. And he finally realizes that, and I think he wants to start acting in a different way, basically. He agrees to leave King's Landing secretly before his brother can actually kill him. We'll get to that in a second. And to just like let the war and play its own course and just come back and as a triumphant king and be loved by everyone. We'll see if that actually happens or not, but whatever. So yeah, I kind of like his arc as well. I think it's very well written. It makes sense with his own character plot line and everything. So yeah. Now let's talk about Aegon's brother, right? He has gone batshit crazy. Like, he is crazy cuckoo bananas. He's always lived this like life as a second born son, and like basically not having any proper claim to the throne unless his brother dies. And he sees in his brother the incompetence that he has for the crown, that he cannot actually rule a kingdom properly, and he thinks that he's actually much better than his brother. He's well more fit, but no one wants to give him the opportunity because he's the second son and not the firstborn. But he sees the opportunity in a very crazy way when it happens at Rook's Rest, basically. I think he realizes how foolish his brother is when he laid out his perfect plan to lure Rhaenys and the Blacks into battle at Rook's Rest, and his brother coming in out of nowhere almost messed up his plan, and so he decides in that split second that he is better off having him dead, basically, which is crazy. Like wanting to kill your own brother just because you think he's like unfit to rule and you want his position, basically, is insane. But whatever. So he lets basically his brother Aegon get into battle with Rhaenys, who is very well experienced in battle. She has one of the oldest dragons, one of the most well trained dragons to battle. So the two of them have a fight. He's almost dead. He's almost defeated basically, and so he chimes in with Vhagar at a certain point, who is, by the way, the biggest dragon instead. Aemon does chime in eventually, and he burns his brother almost to death. He's the reason why his brother is now crippled, basically. So it's insane. And then he also ends up killing Rhaenys, but I'll get into Rhaenys after in a second. So he gets what he wants in a way, because even if he's a cripple, he's not well suited to rule anymore. So he becomes king regent for the remainder of the season. And he turns out to be actually very unfit as well, because he's also very impulsive, but in the other sense of the way. He's so well trained in battle and everything that he wants to just wage war immediately and be very, very much a tyrant, right? So, and his mother realizes that as well, and she's horrified by that and by the monster she's brought up, and he even he's so annoyed with his mother that he even takes her out of the council as a sad. So he becomes the ultimate evil, I guess, in the show, because he's just basically also keeping his own population closed off in King's Landing. Basically, hunger is growing, and people are very much not happy with his rule. He's not really ruling for the people, but he's ruling for his own family and for his own ambitions, which is not the right way. It's not the right way. It's not what Viserys wanted, right? So, and that's a good parallel with Rhaenyra as well, because she's instead very much aware of what the people want and how to support the people, and that's where Rhaenyra actually finds a weakness in Aemond and sends food to the people in King's Landing secretly, and people start actually supporting her instead. And so Aemon left a side of his own rule, of his own kingdom, wide open to the enemy, basically. So yeah, a lot of mistakes from Aemon's side, I would say. Even though he's been very good in battle and conquering all these little castles here and there with the help of Sir Cresson Cole throughout the entire season. Eventually, though, he's too hasty. He wants to fight against Daemon so badly that he and against Rhaenyra, that he just gets sidelined, and he's so not seeing the long game here, I guess. So yeah, interesting. But he's the main powerhouse here for the Greens, because he has the biggest dragon, period, basically, and he's been holding the Greens up for the entire season, basically just by himself. So commendable for that, I guess. But yeah, we'll see what happens next season. We know what's gonna happen, but whatever. Rhaenys, the queen who never was. She is my favorite character of the season. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, she dies in the season. She's unfortunately dead. She fights very proudly, very courageously in the Rook's Rest battle, and she dies there. She's the only person who is willing to fight for Rhaenyra, and the only experienced one to face off other dragons. And I think she sort of willingly goes into battle knowing that it's going to be her own end. But she does respect Rhaenyra until the very end. She is very much content with the choice that that Viserys made for the heir to the throne, and she realizes that Rhaenyra is actually very well fit for the throne, and she wants to see a woman on the throne because she never got a chance to get there herself at her own time. In her battle, she fiercely fought against both Vhagar and Sunfire. That's insane. First of all, she went solo with her own Amelis, her dragon, beautiful queen. But yeah, it was so sad to see her fall down and just die there. But I think it's a good ending for her. She tried to make up for what she did in the last season, basically, and basically she had a chance to kill Aegon, but she showed mercy, and she regrets that. So she wants to like fight till her last breath, and to sort of remedy that. And even though she doesn't really accomplishes that, she still manages to like have Aegon out of the game basically. So that's a big accomplishment in my eyes. And she has a very honorable death. I think she died as a warrior, which is incredible. So yeah, just a quick message for her, but she's late. Literally, she died. But anyways, I want to end up end the episode with Jacaerys, who is Rhaenyra's firstborn and also technically heir with he's a bastard, but he's technically chosen heir to the throne. So, but he still very much knows that he's a bastard. So the entire season he is contending with that idea as well, that he is, well, his claim to the throne is not really that strong when he factor in that aspect of his bloodline, but whatever. But actually, I'm very much surprised by his choices in the season. He's very, very well suited, I think, for the crown eventually as well. He's very clear. How do you say? Like he's very like quick on his feet, I guess, and like he's very good at making pacts with allies. He actually garners the support of the Starks and the Freys as well. In a very clever way as well. Like he just wants to prove to his mom that he's actually right for the throne as well. Even though there's no question about that. Like Rhaenyra wants him on the throne eventually as well. So, but I understand he thinks like he has to prove his own spot, specifically because of his like bloodline, his drawbacks, and all that. But he's a very smart kid, and I think I really liked his many ideas that he had during the season, and he's a very important member also of the council, I think, with the Black Council, because despite being a man, he's the only man in the council at the point who still supports his mom without hesitation. Even though he sometimes doesn't really understand her choices, he's still supporting her, and he's so good, I think. Then he has this crazy idea. The only thing I don't understand is this, basically, right? He has, towards the end of the season, this idea to, like, basically because Team Black is like short on dragons that can actually fight against Vhagar, who's so big, he has this idea of like collecting Targaryen bastards and try their luck to claim basically riderless dragons, right? Wild dragons. It's his own idea, by the way. So he pitches it to his mom, and she's very much content with that. She wants to go ahead with it. She's persuaded by her son. So she's very much following her son's idea. Now, when she acts and she starts like collecting these bastards, and like her plan goes ahead, and kind of successfully, I guess. So she manages to claim 3 more dragons, and she has the upper hand now because of that. Jacaerys is mad. He becomes like, he's upset with that because he sees other bastards claiming dragons and therefore diminishing his own claim to the throne, right? Because he's also a bastard, and if anyone can claim a dragon, then what's the point in being a Targaryen, right? Like a pure blood Targaryen, right? I don't get it, dude. Like, what? Like, it was your own idea. And I think instead he should be proud of it, that it worked out so well. And that he should actually, instead of despising these other bastards, he should instead kind of lead them. Because he's had the upbringing of a lord, while all these other bastards have been lowborns their entire lives. So they don't really know much about court life and like court duties and all that stuff. I think he should instead have taken charge in that aspect and shown them the way, and so that he could even like bolster his own claim even further. You know what I mean? And that's what sort of like Baela also. Baela is another member of the Black Council, another Targaryen. She is Daemon's son, but from Daemon's daughter. What the fuck? But from a different marriage, previous marriage. Anyways, but she is so smart in this season, and she tells him multiple times that he should be proud of his own lineage and his own upbringing and everything, and he should not pout and be upset about these things. He should show with his own power, right? And show through his actions that he's the rightful heir and he should have a spot next to his mother, right? But instead, he's so upset or whatever and all that. I don't get it. I got previously that he's not being consulted by his mom. He's a bit sidelined sometimes because I think his mom wants to protect him from all danger, but he wants to act and be an active player. But when he gets to that point, when he finally gets his own idea to his mom and she acts upon it and it's a success, instead of being empowered by that, he gets, I don't know, thrown off, which I don't understand personally, writing wise, but whatever. So yeah, that's sort of all of it. So the season ends with, as I said, Rhaenyra managing to claim 3 more dragons to her own cause, and everyone is getting ready to battle. The Greens are also garnering more support, and they have another, well, technically dragon wise they're down, they don't have the upper hand here anymore, but they have the support of the Lannisters, they have the support of the Hierarchy in Essos, and the High Towers, of course, and everything else. And then the Blacks, they have the Starks, the Freys, they have, of course, Corlys Velaryon's, fleet, so, and many dragons. So the season literally ends with everyone, the different, the different sides preparing for battle, and it's a big setup, as I said, to the next season. So I'm seated for next season. I'm wondering what's going to happen, if they're going to show us more action. I hope they give them even more of a budget, because they deserve it. I think the writing overall is still very, very good, and it still manages to keep the people peeled to the screen in a way. But I think they need more action sequences in the season. This time around, they only had 8 episodes instead of 10. I think last season was much better structured in a way. So I think that they just need more money again. I think they turned down the money for this season. So HBO Max, please give them more money for next season and give them what they deserve. Because we are seated. I think I cannot wait for the next season. So I'm going to be, supporting the show until the end. Even though 2 years for another season is crazy. But we're going to see it in 2026. So yeah. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys, if you haven't checked it out, I hope you have, technically, because I've spoiled the entire season. But anyways, do watch it. Do support the season. Do support the show, because it's an incredible product. It has incredible production, incredible people working behind it. So I'm very happy with it, and I'm very happy with the actors as well. They're so talented. So yeah, a Negroni with Prosecco in it. Period.